There's a place so deep in the Black Ridge Mountains that even rescue teams refuse to enter. A mine sealed for over a century, cursed by those who died digging it. They called it Eldritch Hollow. Tonight, 3 explorers break that silence: a geologist, a cameraman, and their leader. What begins as documentation of history soon twists into a descent through madness itself. As their boots crunch over ancient dust, the air thickens, humming with the weight of something that remembers. The deeper they go, the more the tunnels seem to close around them, like a throat swallowing light. And though they descend with flashlights and reason, what waits below has neither shape nor mercy, only hunger. The first 100 feet are stable. Dry air, loose gravel, and the faint scent of iron. Marcus insists it's safe, yet each echo feels heavier than the last. The deeper they move, the colder the air becomes. Evelyn scribbles in her notebook, marking strange readings from her instrument's electromagnetic surges, temperature drops that defy logic. Jonas keeps filming, catching orbs of light that vanish when he looks directly at them. Somewhere far ahead, the tunnel exhales, a sound like the sigh of something vast and patient. They find remnants of tools, shovels turned to rust, helmets cracked and fused with the rock. It's as if time here has melted. The deeper chambers bear claw-like scratches that extend to stone, arranged in spirals. Marcus calls it erosion. Evelyn says no. Jonas replays audio faint breathing, layered under their voices. When they pause, it stops. When they speak again, it answers. They reach a junction where the tunnel splits into 3. The middle path breathes cold vapor. The left hums faintly, and the right is silent. Too silent. Marcus votes right. Evelyn hesitates, noting compass interference. The arrow spins, though no magnetic source is nearby. Jonas captures the moment, whispering that he saw movement, something sliding just beyond light. Their lanterns dim as if the air itself is swallowing brightness. As they continue right, the tunnel narrows until they must walk single file. Drips echo like distant footsteps. The ground vibrates softly, pulsing in rhythm with their breath. Evelyn begins to feel pressure, a low hum resonating in her chest. Marcus asks if it's machinery, but there's no sound of metal, only the living groan of stone shifting. When Jonas pans his light behind them, the entrance is gone. Only blackness. Hours pass, yet the air feels thicker, as if time itself refuses to move forward. Their voices now echo twice, once in the present, once delayed, warped, returning from somewhere far deeper. Evelyn records readings that defy physics. Frequencies below human hearing that still vibrate inside their skulls. Marcus insists it's air compression, but Jonas, listening through his headphones, whispers that someone else is breathing through the static. The tunnels now sound alive. Every tap of their boots returns with a reply that isn't theirs. In the distance, faint singing begins, a miner's hymn, choked and uneven, looping endlessly on the same verse. They replay the recording. Through layers of static, a human voice whispers Marcus's name. He freezes. Breath stuttering. Evelyn rewinds. No voice. Plays again. It's there. Jonas insists it's a feedback artifact, but his hands tremble so violently the camera shakes. The realization spreads between them. Something inside the mine knows who they are. Evelyn scribbles notes, her handwriting trembling. Behind them, faint footsteps echo, perfectly matching their rhythm until they stop. And in the silence that follows, the echo continues walking. A tunnel branches downward. Steeper, narrower, older. They descend, boots sinking into coal dust that glitters like ground glass. The air hums with low vibration, almost melodic. Evelyn's instruments' spike temperature drop to near freezing. Aim field surges off the charts. Jonas records every second, muttering timestamps under his breath. Marcus leads, but his steps falter as the singing returns, this time closer, masculine, and off-key. The sound isn't coming from ahead, it's rising from beneath them. They emerge into a cavernous space, walls slick with moisture, ceiling vanishing into black. Tools from another century litter the ground, each covered in soot, yet untouched by rust. Jonas pans his camera, catching faint reflections. Figures of miners standing motionless, facing the walls, vanishing when light hits them directly. Marcus tries to speak, but his words echo too soon, overlapping his own voice. Evelyn whispers that they're standing in an acoustic anomaly, but deep down she knows this echo isn't physics. It's imitation. Something below is learning to sound human. The singing stops. The echoes cease. For the first time there is silence. Complete, suffocating. Marcus breathes shallowly, turning slowly as his flashlight dims. Evelyn's voice quivers as she says the air feels charged, like standing beneath a thunderstorm. Jonas lowers his camera. Then, faintly, through the dead air, a whisper forms. Not from the tunnel, but from inside the microphone itself. A voice no one recognizes murmurs a single phrase. "You shouldn't have come back." The deeper they move, the more the air thickens with soot. Black motes swirling in their lights like ash from an unseen fire. Evelyn raises her glove, watching the dust move against the current. Jonas films in silence, every exhale trembling. Marcus mutters that it's just coal residue, but his voice cracks on the last word. The ground is soft, almost breathing under their boots. Then Evelyn touches the wall, and the dust recoils, pulling away from her hand before surging back in a violent wave. Her scream echoes once, then twice. The second echo sounds like it's coming closer. Evelyn's sample jars tremble as she seals them. Inside, the black dust crawls like liquid, swirling in erratic spirals. Marcus demands they leave, but the tunnel behind them has subtly changed. The chalk markings she made hours ago are gone. Jonas plays back footage and sees a frame that wasn't filmed, a miner standing behind Evelyn, unmoving, eyes hollow, and mouth open in a silent scream. When he turns, the space is empty. Yet, the smell of burnt iron now fills the air. The deeper shaft narrows into a tunnel coated entirely in that black powder. Each step sends tiny clouds swirling upward, glowing faintly under their lights. Evelyn's breathing becomes strained. She says the air feels charged. Marcus wipes his face, finding black residue streaked across his skin. Jonas captures close-ups of the walls, whispering that the dust isn't dust. It's alive, twitching, forming faces that vanish when seen directly. From somewhere ahead, a dull hum rises, vibrating through the soles of their boots. Evelyn stops suddenly, holding up her vial. The dust inside pulses, glowing faintly red like embers. She whispers that it's reacting to sound. Jonas, fascinated, hums a single note. The dust responds, swirling violently inside the glass. The same hum begins to echo through the tunnel without him, making a sound. Marcus shouts for silence, but the vibration grows until the glass explodes, coating Evelyn's arm in writhing darkness. She gasps as the skin beneath burns, white-hot. Her scream fades into a hollow, mechanical echo, repeating in a voice that's not hers. They retreat toward the upper tunnels, but the mine's layout has changed again. Every turn leads them deeper. Evelyn stumbles, whispering that the dust is following, not carried by wind, but crawling after them. Marcus drags her forward while Jonas swings his camera in all directions, light trembling. The walls pulse faintly, veins of red glowing beneath the surface like molten rock. Then, behind them, something exhales. Not human, not mechanical. Something vast, deep, and hollow, as though the mine itself has lungs. The tunnels twist tighter, as if closing behind them. Every breath draws more of that black dust into their lungs. Every light flickers shorter. Evelyn's recorder captures distant hammering, measured, methodical, metallic. Marcus mutters that no one could be working down here, but Jonas keeps turning toward the sound. They reach a collapsed shaft sealed by timber beams, rotted to black pulp. Something beneath them shifts. Slow, rhythmic, almost like the heartbeat of the earth. Then, faintly through the static of Evelyn's audio log, a voice rasps. Dig. Marcus digs through the debris despite Evelyn's protests. Beneath the rubble, they find a skeletal hand gripping a decayed, leather-bound journal. The paper inside crackles like dry leaves, the words smeared with soot. Jonas films the moment they read the first line. The hollow ones do not breathe, yet they listen. The handwriting ends mid-sentence, burned into ash at the page's edge. A whisper rises again, closer now, like a voice forming words just behind the camera. Evelyn shines her light down and sees boot prints in the dust. 4 sets, not 3. They play back the audio again, and this time, the whisper is clear. Foreman. Marcus lowers his head. Evelyn asks who the foreman was. Jonas replies that according to the records, he died in the collapse of 1912. The same shaft they're standing in now. The lantern sputters, and something cold passes between them. From the corner of her vision, Evelyn sees a flicker of movement. Just a figure, dust-coated and trembling, standing where the skeleton was seconds before. Its eyes glint with coal dust, hollow and infinite. The foreman's figure flickers, then solidifies, eyes glowing faint orange, like the embers of a dying furnace. He doesn't move his lips, yet his voice echoes from every surface. He tells them the mine was never meant to reach this depth, that what they unearthed wasn't ore, but a hollow below creation itself. The miners begged him to seal it, but greed consumed them first. He points toward the lower shaft, trembling. It's awake again, he rasps, before collapsing into a cloud of dust that swirls away like smoke in a draft that shouldn't exist. When the dust settles, the tunnel feels heavier, as if the air itself has memory. Marcus mutters that they're leaving, but the way back has changed again. The walls slick with moisture now. Evelyn reads the journal's final legible line. Seal the hollow. Don't listen when it calls your name. Jonas replays the foreman's voice, but the tape distorts into static, then into whispers saying their names. First hers, then his, then Marcus. The lantern dies. For a heartbeat, they're bathed in total blackness. Then, faintly, from below, a single light flickers on. The tunnel's final descent spirals like a staircase carved by no human hand. The air feels electric, each breath thick with iron and rot. Evelyn's voice shakes as she notes that the magnetic readings have maxed out. Her compass spins wildly. Jonas' camera flickers, recording glimpses of shapes beyond the beam's reach, fluid and indistinct. Marcus grips the rope line and pushes ahead, muttering that daylight must be below. But when the passage widens, they see it's not daylight at all. Just a vast red glow emanating from deep cracks in the earth. The mine breathes again, louder now, like a furnace awakening after a century of hunger. They emerge into a vast underground chamber that dwarfs the tunnels above. Bioluminescent fungi cling to the walls, pulsing with a sickly green rhythm that matches the rumble beneath their feet. The floor is carved stone, etched with symbols that predate language. Evelyn kneels, tracing one with her gloved finger. It pulses brighter at her touch. Marcus whispers a prayer, though he no longer believes. Jonas pans his camera across the space, the lens catching something massive moving just beyond the circle of light. For the first time, the mine moans. The symbols begin to hum, resonating through the chamber. Dust falls from the ceiling like ash. Evelyn realizes too late. The markings aren't carved into the stone. They're growing from it. Jonas' camera begins to glitch, capturing mirrored reflections of the same space from impossible angles. Marcus stumbles backward, clutching his chest as the hum deepens into a throbbing, guttural pulse. Evelyn shouts that the mine isn't hollow. It's alive. The walls flex slightly inward, veins of light pulsing in rhythm with their heartbeats. The hum rises into a shriek of vibrating metal. Jonas drops his camera, its feed flashing static, then a distorted frame, something crawling across the far wall, pale and eyeless, following the light. Marcus pulls Evelyn toward a tunnel leading deeper into the cavern's belly, where molten rock glows beneath a lattice of rusted rails. Evelyn screams that they can't go deeper, but the tunnel behind them seals in an avalanche of stone. Jonas retrieves his flickering camera, the red rec light casting an unnatural glow over their faces as they realize they are trapped inside something that was never meant to be opened. They stumble into the lowest chamber, where the air feels thick and wet, humming with unbearable resonance. In the center stands a pit, a perfect circle of darkness that absorbs their light. Evelyn shines her headlamp into it. The beam vanishes instantly. Marcus steps closer, his reflection shimmering on the pit's surface, though it shouldn't be reflective. Jonas films the moment Evelyn whispers, "It's not a pit. It's an eye." The floor trembles, and from below something massive begins to stir. The black dust rises like smoke, spiraling upward as if inhaled by the earth itself. Jonas' footage flickers. Frames jump, sounds distort. The pit's surface trembles as if breathing. Evelyn whispers that it's feeding on vibration, that every sound wakes it further. Marcus grips her arm, shouting that they have to go, but the echo multiplies until it sounds like a crowd yelling his words back at him. Jonas turns his camera toward the ceiling, cracks forming like veins of black lightning. A low, guttural moan ripples through the cavern. The mine begins to move, rock grinding like bone. Evelyn raises her recorder and says, through trembling lips, "It's not collapsing. It's opening." The tunnel behind them collapses. Dust fills the air, smothering the last of their lantern light. Jonas' camera swings wildly, catching half glimpses of something moving inside the red haze. Thin limbs dragging across the walls. Evelyn coughs violently, her skin streaked with black where the dust has touched. Marcus shouts through the roar, his voice cracking into static. The sound cuts, then returns distorted, his own voice repeating backward. Somewhere in the noise, another voice joins in, whispering their names like an invitation. Jonas runs ahead, vanishing into the smoke. His camera light bounces erratically off the walls, then disappears entirely. Marcus and Evelyn chase after it, their boots slipping on uneven stone. They find the camera lying on the ground, still recording. On the screen, Jonas' last moment's play. His face illuminated by the glow of his light, eyes wide, whispering, "It's behind the light." Then static. Marcus lifts the camera, but the live feed shows movement just behind them. Evelyn turns slowly. The dust forms into a shape, humanoid, featureless, watching. The shape lunges, not with speed, but inevitability. The air ripples as if displaced by unseen pressure. Marcus swings his lantern. It bursts, coating his arm in oil and fire. The burning light drives the creature back into the haze, its form unraveling like smoke. Evelyn drags Marcus toward a side passage, the flames flickering on his sleeve. They stumble into a corridor lined with collapsed tracks leading upward. Behind them, the hum transforms into a scream, a sound no human lungs could make. The earth shakes, and the ceiling begins to crumble in waves. They reach what looks like the mine's central shaft, a vertical chasm stretching toward faint light above. Evelyn throws the rope upward, but it vanishes into dust before reaching the top. Marcus begins climbing the rusted ladder embedded in the wall, each rung trembling beneath his weight. Evelyn follows, blood smearing the metal from her burned hand. Below them, the pit's glow intensifies, word shifting to white, then to something that feels alive. Jonas' static-filled voice echoes from nowhere, whispering, "Don't look down. Marcus looks anyway." The light beneath them blinks. The shaft groans under the strain of its own collapse. Marcus climbs faster, metal rungs bending under his weight. Evelyn follows, gasping, her burned hand slipping on wet iron. The red glow below swells, flooding the shaft like rising lava. Jonas' disembodied voice still whispers through the static, sometimes behind them, sometimes above. Evelyn shouts his name into the dark. No echo returns. The air vibrates with a deep, inhuman rhythm. Marcus looks up and sees a circle of pale light above, impossibly far away. For a heartbeat, he believes it's the exit, until it blinks. The metal ladder vibrates violently, a deep rumble growing beneath them. Evelyn screams as a rung snaps, nearly falling before Marcus catches her by the wrist. Their lights flicker, then die. Total darkness swallows them. In that silence, a low breath rolls through the shaft, followed by a whisper that sounds like all three of their voices combined. "Stay." The walls begin to contract, the iron bending inward. Evelyn's headlamp flickers back on for a second, revealing faces pressed into the rock. Miners, mouths open, eyes black as coal. Marcus hauls Evelyn to safety on a narrow ledge. Below, the glow brightens into a violent white that shakes the air. Evelyn presses her recorder to her lips and speaks shakily. "If this reaches the surface, seal it again." The ground trembles, dust raining from above. She glances down. The white light below now pulses like a heartbeat. Marcus begins tying the last of their rope, but it unravels in his hands. Threads, dissolving into ash. The pit below exhales once more, and a wall of hot air knocks them flat. The mine screams like it's alive and dying. Marcus shouts that there's another tunnel just above, a narrow outcrop carved into the rock. He lifts Evelyn, pushing her upward as debris falls in fiery streaks. She scrambles into the space, reaching back for him. The roar below grows deafening. Marcus hesitates for only a second, then the ledge beneath him collapses. Evelyn screams his name as his light vanishes into the glow. For a heartbeat, there is silence. Then faintly, through the static of her recorder, Marcus's voice returns, distorted and calm. "It's beautiful." Evelyn drags herself through the narrow passage, coughing blood, the recorder still in her hand. Her flashlight beam flickers and dies. Only her camera remains, recording her trembling breath. "This isn't a mine," she whispers hoarsely. "It's a mouth." The tunnel shakes once more. Then silence. Hours later, the surface crew finds her broken recorder half buried in the rubble. Its final seconds play faint static, then a single flicker of her light before total darkness. Beneath the silence, something faintly breathes, waiting.